Hey people, what is going on? Broken Puppet, back with another video. If it's your first time to my channel, make sure you click subscribe. I've got hundreds of tutorials, all kinds of sort of tattoo based, yeah, so I'm sure you'll find something like, but if not, for now, we're going to do a really classic old school dragon. It's a really fun one, really colourful, really bold, so I'm sure you're going to like it. So here's how we do it. So I'm going to start off with a pencil, and I'm going to use Winsor & Newton brush markers, and a good old Sharpie for the outline. So anyway, I'm going to sketch down the bottom now, so I'm going to sketch circle to begin with, just like so. After circle, I'm going to do another little kind of sort of oval just around here, and another little oval, so down there. Just a little curve line back there, just do a little curve line there, and there. So basically this is the rough sort of structure of the head. And once we've got this, we're going to sort of like then mark out roughly where on the body. So I want to have the nice kind of swell to this, because it's kind of going to go up, so we're going to curve around, I think, going to bump in, bump around. So it's going to be a really fun, classic, old school one, just like so. So it's going to be the rough sort of shape of his body, swerving around. When we get to about this angle, so as it comes around this bend, I think I'm going to have arm here, so it's going to bring in a little line like this, little line coming down. And then off this, I'm going to do a little circle. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 little circles off of that. 3 little lines there. So I know that's where one claw is going to go. You're going to get hit at the other claw just here behind here. So I'm going to do a little line like this. Little circle 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So second claw is going to kind of sit here. And then it's going to have a leg. So on this bump, so I'm going to have bump on arm on this, and the bump's going to be on this one. So I'm going to bring in this line up, come down, 1, 2, 3. And then the other leg's going to sort of curve around, and you're going to see a little bit coming this way. So again, circle 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The tail buttons goes off here. I'm going to have like a flame around this bit, so I'm just going to do a big sort of oval shape on the end, just so you kind of get a hint of where the flame's going to go for it. But yeah, this is your overall sort of skeleton basically of the dragon. So now we've got this come down, we can come down and start doing the detail. So I'm going to start off with the face first and work our way around the body, coming upwards. So starting with the face, I'm going to start off with the eye. So we've got this circle here. So come down back from this nose, I'm going to bring this line like this, just curve down into it. Around here is roughly where I want my eye. So I'm going to do circle for my eye. And the also version is a bit more sort of simplistic than the sort of Japanese sort of style ones. So I'm going to get these eyebrows. So I'm going to get these lines coming around the outside, zigzagging like so. I'm going to bring this line coming off of this circle, so just curve off. Another little loop just around here. You're going to get a second circle, just going to sit on the other side for the eye. Again, I'm going to zigzag kind of around that one. Create a curve going back off of the head, just like this. Just going to create a hint on the back of the head. I'm going to create a loop, little secondary loop, and then a nose. We're going to curve around like this. I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to loop underneath like so. So you have this kind of loop. Around that, it's going to bring in a little secondary loop just here. And then his whiskers are going to come off of this. So I'm going to have his whisker curving off of here. Another one curving off this way. Very important, you always want to have 2 whiskers. And around this, we're going to have his big moustache. So I'm going to create this curve around this, like so. Just as a rough kind of guideline. And from this, I'm going to do zigzag motion. Curving all around. Coming on this side. You're not going to see no teeth at this angle because of the face. You know, sometimes they do, but this particular sort of style one, you know, really kind of classic sort of, you know, vintage show sort of style one, you don't really tend to see the teeth on the top. You will on the bottom, just not on the top. So I'm going to bring this line back, and this line's going to curve around like this. Make sure you come back behind the eye, just a fraction. You know, you can bring it a lot further if you want, just make sure it comes behind the eye. You know, it just doesn't look right because it's in front. I'm going to curve down, and when we get into this bottom circle we're done just here, I'm going to create this line. And then I'm going to mimic this line coming back, just so we kind of got this outside line edge all around the side of the mouth. So you've got this really cool kind of outline. At the bottom just here, I'm going to have 1 tooth, 2 tooth. You can put little circles if you want them there, just for the inside parts of the mouth. The tongue, I'm going to have quite a simple one, so I'm going to curve this outwards, just like so. And that's going to curve back in. And you can have more teeth in here if you want. You can have some at the top, some at the bottom. Just don't go too crazy. You know, you don't want to add too many. You know, you want to keep it fairly simple. Now around this chin, do another little circle just like this. And once you get the circle, I'm going to get a curve off. And kind of use this as a guideline. So you kind of got this wrapping around here. And this is where his beard's going to go. His beard's going to connect off of this mouth, coming around this part of his face. So I'm going to curve this off like this. I'm just going to go zigzag, 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 zigzag. Curve around here and go zigzag. So we get around the outside. So there's a lot of zigzag, but it's very much a part of the character of it. Now I've got quite a bit of space here. You can sort of leave a little bit less space in there, but I quite like having a big sort of beard bit on the front. You know, that's just personal preference. Once you've got that done, I'm going to create a little loop just here. Curve outwards, go back in. All simple, so you've got this like easy sort of simple ear that kind of sits behind this. He says going to curve around and it's going to come down, and then after it's going to get the horns. The horns are usually a lot more simple than what I do for my sort of Japanesey ones. I'm going to have them curving out like this, so just two kind of curves coming off. And that's the basic principle of building up the old school dragon heads. And now I've got dragon head, we're going to come down to the body. So you're going to start off kind of like cutting it into this head shape. And where we've got this line curving up here, we're going to bulb this up. So we're going to make it much wider than what we drew originally with a line. So I'm going to bring this line curving up around it. Curving up around it. And it's not until we get very much near the end that we're going to start really shrinking it, to be honest. You know, it's not going to be a very long transition getting smaller. So I'm going to sort of curve it around here. And then back to full sort of length, and then around here you want to keep the sort of size roughly about the same the whole way around. And that can loop back into that head. I might just a touch bit wider, but not too much wider. So that's your overall sort of size of the body. And then what I'm going to do is just bring a little line just coming inside it. Pretty much around where we drew that original one, but I basically want to keep the same sort of distance across this part of the body the whole way through here. And basically it's where the underbelly is going to go. We have the underbelly just curving the whole way through it. It's going to loop around into there. The underbelly I'm going to create with curves. You know, a real simple kind of old way of doing this. They're going to be sort of semicircle curves. So you're going to curve like this. About the same sort of distance apart. Get a nice kind of pattern going. Now you can do sort of straight lines if you want, which looks pretty good. So you just kind of get a sort of straight edge and sort of straight lines dividing it. You know, it's all about kind of creating a pattern, you know, but this one I'm going to do this way. Coming out the back, I'm going to have this sort of like rough sort of slight kind of flame pattern, so I'm just going to keep looping around like this. I like to do it, you know, you don't always see the back sort of flame bit sort of spikes going out the back, but I just feel like, you know, on this sort of design I really like it. I think it works really well. So I'm going to add it on this one. Just like so. And I'm going to come down here. Now where I've got these arms, I'm going to show you how we do these. So I'm going to create this initial curve. It's going to curve off into this one. The back one's going to come around here. Now I like to make it a bit kind of wonky. So I'm going to create this little loop around kind of to the elbow. The elbow is going to have another zigzag coming around like this. And this arm's going to curve down into that hand. I might bring this hand just up a little touch, I think. So I'm going to start where the circle is. I start say around there. I just feel like this arm's a little bit too long if I don't go here. If I go to that, I feel like it's a tiny bit too long. So I'm going to shorten it just ever so slightly. Cut this down. Cut it around. And when you get to here, these little tidbits are going to be claws. It's going to curve up, curve into there. Curve up into there. Now you want to go fairly simple, you know, to the point where it looks, you know, sometimes a little bit odd. You know, and you can either have, say, like 3 claws like this, or you can go 2 claws and say a black one, or like a third. I quite like to make mine 4. You know, I don't often see 4, but I just think 4 works quite nice. So I'm going to go here, then have this little 4th one at the back. It's going to curve around. You know, I don't know, I just quite like it. I just think it kind of works, you know, a nice sort of number for it. This one come through pretty much the same. You might only see sort of see through at this kind of angle. I'm going to see as I sort of build it up. So claw, claw. You might see a little 4th one actually just there. I might put that in there, just kind of squeeze it in. The back leg's going to be very similar to the top one, so we're going to create this line, curving off the back, a wiggly line, curving down, bring it into it, bring line from the front, And make sure you start from the body bit. You know, you want to start overlap this underbelly. So this underbelly you see here is going to be gone. It's going to disappear. You're not going to see this. Curve that up. Tug that underneath. Come down. And the same principle again. So go down into the claws. A little bit of a back foot, I think. Almost kind of like an eagle. It's probably why I like it, you know, because I generally really like that kind of eagle foots, and it probably reminds me a little bit of that. So it's going to go there, and then this foot, the same kind of principle, is going to curve around. 1 spike, 2 spike, 3 spike. It's going to curve stuff down into it. And then hitting at that 4th claw just there. Now the end tail, I'm going to make pretty much the same sort of pattern as what we've done, like, you know, around the face and around the back of the elbows and the back of here. So I've got the zigzag pattern on the back of that leg. It's going to be a zigzag pattern, kind of coming around it like so. Very much like that. So this is the overall sort of gist of the whole body. So once you've got this done, I'm going to grab me one of my Sharpies. Ugh. 2 seconds to find where I put my little Sharpies. I have to use one of the other ones. The new one seems to have disappeared somewhere. So I'm going to grab my Sharpie now, just like this. It's a basic standard Sharpie, the 5.1 permanent marker. You can pretty much buy these anywhere. So I'm now just going to go over everything we just done in the Sharpie. So I'm going to start off with this line just here, so I'm going to curve this around. Around now. Move that around. I like to make these kind of bits sort of connect. So separate into little sections. You don't have to do that, it's just one of those things I kind of like to do. I just think it looks pretty cool like that. And I'm going to leave this kind of area blank. We kind of look like this little kind of scaly pattern through here, which looks really cool. I'm going to have him looking a little bit backwards. I'm going to have the pupils kind of looking back, so he's kind of looking back at his body. Move that around. Make this curve around here, and I can go into the first whisker. Then add that zigzag pattern around the mouth. Secondary whisker just kind of coming behind it. Just cut his whisker so it kind of comes around and connects to it. Once you've got that done, I'm going to start off with the outside line bit here first. So I'm going to create this outside line. Doesn't particularly matter if you start with the outside line for this little section or the inside line. Now the only difference is if you do the outside line first, you can kind of make sure you kind of get the right kind of height. Just in case you want to sort of slightly adjust any of it. I'm going to get this little loop just here, just kind of connect to the eye bit just there. Once I've got it done, I'm going to go tooth, 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 1, 2, 3, tooth. With teeth, I just generally kind of go until I feel like I've got the right kind of amount, you know, although it's free, I actually think it looks pretty cool like that. You know, I know when it comes to sort of tradition, there are certain numbers of certain things, like a certain amount of teeth, certain amount of legs, you know, blah, 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 you know, just it's your piece of art, just kind of do it how you want to do it. As long as you're not being disrespectful, just kind of do it how you want to do it. Get the zigzag going around this beard. Got that little loop just there, so it kind of sort of distinguishes this part of the beard from this bit. I'm keeping it fairly simple, sort of shape-wise. You know, so it kind of still has that traditional kind of feel. You know, if I was doing it sort of Japanese kind of style or sort of Chinese or whatever, I'd sort of like have much more kind of flow to it. You know, but the old school version is much more kind of simplistic, but just as powerful. You know, it's really bold. It's really kind of in your face. You know, I really love them. It's one of those ones that really kind of grow on you. You know, sometimes you don't kind of expect it to, but you know, the more you do old school, the more kind of appreciation you find you have for it. You know, I love old school now. You know, when I first started, I wasn't really a fan. I kind of like, to be honest, I probably I was kind of sort of, you know, kind of a bit big-headed about it. You know, I kind of sort of looked at it as, oh no, it's simple, it's basic, oh, blah 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 blah. You know, and I was kind of arrogant about it, you know, to begin with. You know, but once I sort of started drawing it, I was like, wow, actually, it's it's not as simple as it looks, and it's got so much more kind of character to it, and you kind of like realize, you know, so yeah, it's one of those ones that really does grow on you. You know, and I've got a right sort of fondness for old school now, which, you know, when I very first started, when I was sort of younger, you know, I didn't think I'd originally have. You know, but come out of college, you know, you're kind of into like realistic sort of stuff, you know. I don't know, when you sort of like do realistic stuff, you kind of sort of look at everything else like it's a bit kind of on the easy kind of spectrum, but yeah, you soon realise it's not. It's going to create a little kind of bumps just around his finger to kind of get a bit more detail. Let's curve that down. 1, 2, curve that up into it. Create a little claw. 1, 2, create a claw. Bump up into it, back claw, 1, 2, connect. And like I said, they do look a little bit kind of awkward like this, but it's generally the style. You don't really want to make it look too kind of crazy, kind of, you know, detailed. Let's bring that underbelly bit just here, so we're going to go curve. And try to keep these as kind of like parallel as you can, really. You know, if you can keep them all the exact same size, you just get like a really lovely effect towards the end. So take your time, really sort of try and get them exactly the same if you can. Now, like I said, don't beat yourself up if you don't, you know, just do the best job you can. You know, nothing's ever going to be 100% dead perfect. You know, it's just part of being a human being, you know, but yeah, just kind of sort of like aim for it. And just be happy with what you kind of end up doing. Here, back foot's just in there. Just now, but I'm going to get that underbelly bit, just kind of go in. Keep it the same size. This tail coming up, going around. Before I do that, let's get this part on the back of the leg just there. I'm just going to sit underneath. I don't want to kind of accidentally sort of draw that top bit first and kind of limit my space on it, if you know what I mean. Keep curving that round, and once you kind of get towards this stage, you can start shrinking the underbelly. No, but yeah, just don't really start shrinking it until you get to about this sort of stage, really. You know, you kind of want to make sure you got the length. And you can make these dragons much longer than what they are. But to be honest, in old school stuff, they tend to be fairly sort of short. You know, they're you know, unless it's like a big massive back piece, the backs tend to be fairly kind of short. They're much smaller, shorter than Oriental sort of style dragons. So I was going to get this pattern going up this back. Just kind of get your hand motion going and let your hand motion kind of do the rest of the work with this. Just kind of go until it sort of starts to fade by the time you get to the end of the tail. Just like so. Gonna have that upper claw just in here, so I'm gonna get spine foot claw, 1 curve, 2 curve, bring this up, 1, 2, claw, on that round, connect to it. 1, 2, just bring it back a bit. Claw, 1, 2. Claw, 1, 2. Claw, 1, 2. Claw, 1, 2. Bring it back, bring it back. Create the underbelly bit. Underbelly, underhand rather. Zigzag pattern for the end of that tail going. And then once you've got it done, you've got your basic kind of outline done for the outside part. And then what I'm going to come back in now is do some pattern work on the inside. So I'm just going to rub everything out to begin with and then sketch in our inner body pattern work. Now depending on what paper you use and what pens you're using, make sure you give it enough time to dry before you start rubbing out. You know, Sharpies dry super quick, so I can rub this out instantly and I haven't got to worry about it smudging. But yeah, if you're using something else, you might find you end up smudging it if you're going too early. I'm just using a putty rubber for this. You know, I just generally always use putty rubbers. You know, they're not necessarily like the absolute best thing in the world to use, it's just what I've always used, so I just kind of stick with it. It's just force of habit, really. But yeah, just use whatever rubber you have to hand, really. You just do your best to make sure that pencil work is all gone. So you're just left with a nice clean outline like so. Now I've got the outline done. Like I said, we're going to sketch in the underbelly with sort of pattern work. There's quite a few things you can do. I mean, you can get any sort of like repeating pattern will do the trick. You just generally want a nice kind of pattern coming off the back bit rather than the underbelly bit. So basically what I mean by that, you know, you can kind of have like sort of wavy kind of pattern if you want, say like that. You can have a circular kind of pattern like that. You know, you can create other kind of patterns. You can kind of come down a long ways. You can create like kind of sort of stripes like this. You just want to create some sort of pattern that goes the whole way through and kind of repeats it. And it hasn't got to be one thing. You can make some sort of two shapes. Just make sure you carry the pattern through. You know, in my opinion, that's the key thing. So if you do that, say two different kind of things, say like a circle and thing, then you want to kind of alternate and keep the pattern going the whole way through it. For this one, I'm going to create this kind of wiggly sort of one I like to do. So I'm going to kind of curve up here. So when I get here, I'm going to curve down, make a bit of a dip, curve back up, curve like this. Create a little secondary line just inside it. So I'm going to curve down, up and down. Just going to repeat that shape just throughout it. So a little dip in the center. And just bring it along as far as you can, like so. You know, once you get to the arm bit here, you can change the pattern for the arm, or you can kind of sort of try and carry it through. So for this bit, I'm going to sort of try and separate it. So if this sort of came off, so I'm going to have this sort of shape like this, you know, this kind of weird sort of circular kind of shape, as if it's kind of mimicking this. Then when I get to the back of the elbow, I'm just going to have this kind of looping around just here. Just do the same on this bit, so I'm going to create this kind of wiggly shape. Create a secondary line just inside there. Get that bit just around the elbow. You know, I might get another bit just kind of across here. It depends how much kind of forearm you have. You can or you can leave it. You know, you can add little secondary details if you want, or you can leave it just simple like that. You know, for this one, I'm probably going to leave it like that, but you can add a little sort of shape on the inside here, do a little circle if you want, a little pattern. It's really up to you. Just create some sort of pattern and kind of carry that pattern throughout it, really. You know, that is the trick. You know, just want to make sure you kind of carry that through. Dropping my phone. Sorry. Phone was kind of big in my pocket and I was like trying to check it discreetly, but dropped the damn thing. Right, so now I've got that done, I'm going to mark this all in. So just get everything else done again with that Sharpie. Now you haven't got your Sharpie, you can use any kind of pen you want. I just generally like the chunkiness of a Sharpie. You know, and it gives like a nice big solid, you know, solid black. It's just easy to work with. Especially when doing these kind of sort of videos, it's just really fun to use. But yeah, just use whatever kind of pen you have handy, or no, sort of buy something kind of cool. You know, you could do the whole thing in pencil if you want, you know, that hasn't necessarily got to be in pen. And that's the beauty of art, you kind of make it your own. Just keep this going. So you can run out of space. I'm not going to put any kind of pattern work on these kind of hand bits because you won't really see those. And that's the general gist of the outline. So now you've got the outline done, we're going to come into sort of some shading work. So for the shading, I'm going to start off with blacks. I'm going to be using the Winsor & Newton brush markers. I'm going to use in the cold ones. I'm going to use in the CG1. I'm going to use my CG2, 3, 4. It's basically like grey tones from light to dark, really. That's pretty much it. I can find my other one as well. So I've got black, I've got 1, I have 2, I have 4. Where is my number 3 gone? Maybe just be a 2. Down again. 2 seconds, people. I think I've lost my number 3. No, got it, yeah. Right, so yeah. I'm gonna go for these ones. I'm gonna start off with the black, and I'm gonna go down the grade. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. So across this back here, let's bring this little line just there, because I missed the line just there. Across the back, I'm gonna have it black. So I'm gonna go black in these 3 areas just to begin with. I'm gonna have it go the whole way through, but you wanna do it section by section because your markers will dry fairly quick. So I'm gonna go black, and I'm gonna get the CG4, and I'm gonna go over the edge of that. Actually, tell you a lie, I'm gonna bring that down further. Change your mind on that. So I'm gonna bring that black down quite a bit further actually. So imagine kind of imaginary line. You can sort of draw a line with pencil to kind of mark up roughly how far you want to go. But you want to go a bit further down, so I'm going to get that. And then I want to go side to side with my CG4, so that's my light darkest kind of grey tone. You know, you can use pretty much whatever kind of marker you have ready. You know, if you've got Copics, pencils, or just any kind of normal pencil or pens, it's just whichever one's your next darkest grey. You know, the only thing I sort of recommend, you want to make sure you have some sort of pen with, say, like a brush tip, makes it much easier for blending. If you don't have a brush tip, you're going to have a really hard time trying to blend it out. So now I've got the 4, and now I'm going to go down to the 3. So blend around with the 3. Bring that down to about there. Then I'm going to come in with my number 2 and bring that down even further. Make sure you kind of leave that little kind of white highlight edge, and then I'm going to come in with a 1, which will pretty much kind of fade to nothing. So I can kind of go to the edge with that if I want. You just get this really nice kind of smooth black kind of gradient in a way. So once I've got that done now, I'm going to get the rest of the black come up this top section just here. Like I said, do it section by section, because if you try to attempt doing the whole thing in one go, it's probably going to dry by the time you get to your last bit, and they make it really hard to blend out. You know, it's like water paint, you know, you can't really hang around with them. You want to sort of do it as you're sort of going, you know, pretty quick. So going over with my darkest grey again, so this is the CG4. CG4 basically is like cold grey. It's just like, you know, each kind of marker's got a code to it. That's pretty much all it is. Go down to my number 3. Just blend over that edge. Now, as soon as you start to see it blend, just kind of let it do its trick. And then I'm just going to go to number 1, so that needs to fade out into the next one. But yeah, as soon as you see it start to fade, just kind of let it do its magic. You know, don't kind of like keep going over it trying to force it. You know, it will generally do it on its own. So when it comes to the hand, you've got 2 choices. You can sort of just kind of go carry grey down for it, or you can kind of put more black. I like to put a bit of black just across the edge here on the inside part. Kind of fade upwards. You can go the other way around, you know, around the bottom bit. I just like to get this little bit of black on the top part of the hand. Just here, you know, I always kind of like that effect. But you can just kind of carry through with grey tones if you want, or just use the colour in it. But down to you, but this is how I'm doing it. So I'm going to go with my grey tone just there. Come with my 3rd grey. Just to there. I'm going to go down to my number 1. Blend that out, like so. You know, it's just carrying through so you get this nice kind of sort of like smooth edge kind of sort of feel into it. You know, that's what I'm kind of going for with it. Bring in my black. And each one of those fingers. And the same thing again, just go through your grey tone, just going down for them. Go over it, and like I said, you know, as soon as you start to see it kind of blend is when you kind of want to stop, you know, because it will carry on working for like a second or 2 just after you finish. So as soon as you see it do its magic, just let it do it. You know, with markers, it's very easy to kind of overwork and sort of do too much. Especially if you're not using like a good quality paper. Like I'm using Bristol board. You know, I very much highly recommend it. It's really good stuff. You know, you've got really good quality marker paper as well. I recommend just anything really. You can use like watercolor paper and stuff. Just try to avoid using printer paper. You know, printer paper is just not a good product for drawing. You know, I know it's cheap, you know, but you know, drawing paper like this isn't really that expensive. You know, and it's worth the investment. I guarantee you, once you sort of once you try it, you'll never go back to printer paper. You know, so if you're currently using printer paper, trust me, give it a try and you'll never go back. You know, it makes a massive difference. Just going to do these back part of the claws now. Just going to cross that top edge. So it'll be the same kind of edge we sort of done on the other ones. But generally because of the rotation, it's a bit kind of upside down or the opposite side to it. That's grey, and work down your greys until you get a nice blend out. You know, most old school flash is generally done with like sort of watercolors or inks. I do that as well, you know, but to be honest, my favourite way of sort of drawing is markers, and I think it's just easy to teach and easy to kind of learn with. You know, plus they're just really fun to use. You know, if you follow my work, you know that I'm a massive marker fan. You know, I love using my markers. You know, you've got Winsor and brush markers that I'm using, you know, but I love, you know, other ones. You know, you've got like Copics, chameleon pens are really good. I've had a few people sort of suggest a few other ones which I need to try. I won't recommend them until I've tried them. You know, but I always like trying new stuff in it, so if I tried it, I recommend it, but if I haven't tried it, I won't generally recommend it until I've tried it. But yeah, if you see any sort of pop up in the chat, you know, like, you know, people recommend, you know, always sort of give them a go. You never know what's going to work. You know, it's just nature of art equipment. So I've got this black coming through the tongue just there. I'm gonna have a little bit of black just come around this corner bit just here. A little bit here. Just any time there's like a little bit of a corner, I'm gonna add a little bit of black. Kind of fade out from. You know, most of it's kind of going to be colour, but I want this little hint of sort of shadow in these corners. Just gonna work over those black edges. Just like so. I said, as soon as you start to see that blend, just let it do its trick. You know, you might find sometimes, depending on what kind of paper you use and sort of equipment you use, sometimes you might notice you get what's called bleed. You know, where it sort of blends out certain parts, especially line work. You know, like I work fairly quick, so it doesn't really tend to blend my line work. But you might notice it sort of fades a bit of your line work. If it does, don't panic. You know, so you can always just at the very end, just kind of go over your line work again. You know, build it up. But yeah, if you get that, it's generally because of sort of say speed and stuff. You know, it's the speed you go in. It's one of those ones where I say, like, you know, it's nothing to panic about. You know, in time you'll sort of learn to sort of speed up with it, and you won't get that. I'm going to put a little bit of grey just inside the nose, just here, and just blend that. So I'm going to get a little highlight edge. I know it's not on the rest of it, but it just looks really cool on the nose, just like so. So I think that's it for my black and grey, except for a little bit down here that I want to do. So a little bit flicking out just here, a little bit just inside the ear. I'm going to black out this little section just underneath that mouth, just there. Now this bit here is kind of breaking the rule a little bit because it's touching that bottom line, which I haven't done for the rest of it. But it's because it's behind the ear, behind the head. You know, that's why I'm doing that. You know, it's kind of like sort of it's kind of like the shadow of the heads on the body. So once you've got that done, that's pretty much all your kind of sort of like black work all done now. So I'm going to put down my grey shades. I'm going to go in my colour now. So I'm going to bring in, I'm going to use, I think, my berry reds. You know, it's my favourite red to use. I love that red. I think I'm going to go for, let's go in here. This colour I haven't used for a little while, I think. I might use my mint green and my turquoise possibly. Don't often use those colours, but I really like it in my dragons and stuff. So got that, I've got my amber, and I might use possibly a touch of the fabric, possibly. I haven't made up my mind on that yet. I'm going to start off with the red because I know I definitely want the red. You know, always start with a bit you know you definitely want. So looking at it, I definitely want the underbelly red. I'm going to do this kind of little pattern. I'm going to leave a little kind of light on the edge. You can build the whole thing in. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, most of the time you sort of see dragons, you might get that. I'm just a fan of this little kind of white edge on the underbelly. You know, especially the red. I don't know, something about the that kind of white outer line on the red just looks really nice. Just bring this up like so. Around. Get that up there. So once I've gone through the body, I'm then going to sort of work out where I want to put in the rest of the face as well. Now, whatever colour I use, I want to make sure I use it in at least, say, 2 sections. And that'll kind of give it a little bit of sort of colour symmetry to the design. Now, I generally find if you use a colour, just say like in one section, you know, it usually feels a little bit out of place. Unless it's for, say, something like the eyes, you know, because the eyes look really good sometimes if they sort of stand out compared to the rest. But sometimes it looks very odd just to have, you know, like a brand new colour in just one section, especially in old school. You know, yeah, you just want to make sure you kind of use it in at least 2 places. Now, 2 places is enough. It'll kind of carry that kind of colour through. So that's red in the underbelly bit, just going around there. I know I want to have red in the tongue, so I'm going to go red on the tongue. I'm going to go right to the very edge of that. No little white cap on that bit. A little bit red in that nostril. The tail bits I'm going to have in sort of in yellow. Tail's there, so I might have. Yeah, I might make these little back bits just here red as well. Just the inside parts, not the top sections. Go over these like so. Now the red in the underbelly and in the sort of tongue would have been enough, but I'm just looking at it and I think the red's going to look pretty cool in this bit. Just there. So I think that'll do it for the red for me. So now I've done the reds, I'm going to go to the next colour which I know I want in certain areas, so I'm going to go into my amber. Now I use the amber like a, you know, like well, it is a yellow. It's just a very strong kind of golden yellow. It sort of matches the kind of sort of tone I use when I sort of tattoo, so I think that's why I like it so much. You know, I like a nice strong yellow, you know, rather than like a soft kind of like, you know, pastel-y kind of yellow really. I'm going to bring this up and kind of flick the edge a little bit so I can kind of maybe blend possibly a little bit of colour around the nose. I haven't decided yet. So I'm going to flick that around to the edge. I might blend it just as it touches in this corner just there. I'm going to have it on nose bits. I'm going to have it on this bottom part of the beard. Just like so. I'm going to have it on those bits on the back of the legs as well. Anytime I've got this sort of zigzag pattern, I'm going to use this colour on it pretty much. Just like that. So on these backs just here. Just there. Just there. And then this tail I want it as well. Just keep bringing that over it. So I've got it there. I think that'd do it for the yellow. I might possibly put it on these bits just here, but I'm undecided on that at the minute, so actually no, I made my mind up, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna do them yellow. I think so, I'm gonna use that blue on the inside, so I think it's been a nice kind of contrast with it. Bring that around there. So I think that'll do it for the yellow bits. And once I've got the yellow done, I'm then going to come in with that turquoise and that mint green. I basically want this kind of going throughout this body part just here. So I'm going to bring this down. It's about here. And then we use that mint green to kind of blend it out to the edge. I might leave just a tiny little highlight just around the edge part. I think will look pretty cool. I'm just going to bring that around there. So I'm kind of bringing this over, kind of where I would have done, let's say, the black, and then like maybe the CG4. Now with the turquoise, and then where I sort of done, say, the lighter grey shades, I'm then hitting it with the mint green. Change my mind, actually, I'm just going to bring it to the edge. Why? Because I accidentally went over that a little bit. We just call that one a happy mistake. So yeah, just bring that colour through just there. And bring this down on the bottom part just here now. Bring this around this inside part there on. Down to the fingertip just there. Just work this around that edge. But I'm just going to flick this a little bit just over this edge where we've just done just here. That's that mint green. Don't know what it's about this colour, I just love it in these kind of sort of dragons. Just going to use a little bit more of that turquoise just on the tip of the finger, so just over those black areas we've done. Just makes for a better colour transition really, in my opinion. Then bring this down to the tip of the fingers, just like so. There's that. So now we're going to come up this section just here. Again, just kind of over the black and just a little bit into the grey. So where we sort of done that sort of, you know, darkest grey, kind of go over that turquoise colour. Bring that down over those fingers, back into the mint green. And just blend up to your edge, like so. I've done that side now, so I'm just going to get over these little bit of the fingers just here. So a little bit just here, a little bit just there. Get around this bottom section. Down there, and then don't forget your other foot. Across there. Now because we got it throughout the body, I think I'm going to bring it a little bit in the head as well. So just across the top of the head and inside this face part. So I'm going to bring this in here, in there. A little bit across here, a little bit nicer. Pretty much anyway, we sort of done like a bit of a dark kind of grey tone, really. Then get your mint green, blend out from that turquoise, fill in that space. Just like so. Bring this just across the tip of that ear, just here. And then once I've got this done, I'm going to get my pen tip that I dropped on the floor. And then I'm going to bring in another colour just to go down the flame bits down the back. Which I think I'm going to use my orange. You know, so it's kind of a bit similar, it's kind of like a middle ground sort of colour. So I'm going to go in this inside lip bit. You could also do this like a sort of purple colour. Which look really cool. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here in the ear, down this section and down these whiskers, just so I'm kind of bringing it throughout a few different little sections. Bring this up that back. And once I've got this done, I've got to do those horns and just, yeah, tip of the fingernails. So for that, I'm going to get me, where's that colour? Sandstone, I think, for this. Put that sandstone in over the top. Nice and solid bold. And then I'm going to put a little bit in these claws. Just to kind of carry it through. So it's on a few other sections. Yeah, it's just like a nice kind of bony colour. You know, you can leave the claws white, you know, but I like that. I'm going to leave the teeth white, but I'm not going to leave those claws. And there you have it, people. That's how you draw a nice classic old school dragon. You know, they're big, they're bold, they're fun. You know, and yeah, I love them. I think they're really cool. You know, I've got other sort of dragons as well. You know, if you want to check out my other sort of dragon tutorials. And like I said, if you can, give this a like. You know, it's really appreciated if you give the video a like. If you're new to my channel, make sure you click subscribe, check my videos. I've got hundreds on there for you guys to see. But for now, people, I'm The Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.